So last week we talked about body shame and some of the reasons why gay men experience body shame. And I mentioned a few ways that we can start to address body shame, and I'd like to dive a little more deeply into those. We started talking about how we nurture a healthy relationship with our bodies through acceptance, through connection, through gratitude and compassion. And I'd like to talk a little more about those this week. So if we look at acceptance, what does acceptance look like with our bodies? Acceptance is based in the present moment. And what are the things that pull us out of the present moment? Those can be narratives from the past, whether those are hurtful narratives or narratives that simply don't work for us anymore. Those pull us out of being present with our body. So we want to be aware of those, and we want to talk about those and process those and make sure that we don't have those running underneath. And I'll talk a little more about that later in the video. Another thing that pulls us out of being present is focusing on what we want for our body in the future. This isn't to say that we can't have goals for our body or we can't want to change certain things about our body, but it is to say that we want to be mindful of really focusing on that gap between where we are and where we want to be. When the majority of our energy goes into that place, then that tends to foster dissatisfaction, and we're living out of a place of scarcity rather than being present where we are now and grounded in that and moving toward our goals that we want for ourselves. So the second way is gratitude with our bodies. This is a way of practicing being present, and it's also a way of gaining perspective for us. There's a saying that what we appreciate appreciates, and this is true for our bodies as well. And while there may be things that we want to change about our bodies, something we want to be really mindful of, one is comparing ourselves to other people, and another is not being grateful for the things that our bodies provide for us, whether that's being able to connect with other people, how we enjoy food, how we move through the world, how we experience our sexuality. There are just a lot of things for all of us, and it's different. It's going to be different for all of us, but we want to be mindful of being grateful for those things that our body does provide for us and allow us to do. So connection, we want to foster as gay men healthy connection with our bodies. And that can look like being mindful of what we put into our bodies, like our relationship with food or drugs or alcohol. It can also be about how we connect with other people through our sexuality. I think the driving force here, and again, this is different for everybody, we want to be intentional about this connection with our bodies and how we treat our bodies. And we want to be intentional about how we interact with other people through our bodies. And if we can check in and we can make sure that the way that we're doing this is in line with our values, then we're moving in the direction that we want to go. This isn't about figuring out what somebody else expects for us or what the rules are around our bodies, but it is checking in with our values and making sure that we're in line with those. So compassion is the last piece, and I think compassion often gets mistaken for this kind of Pollyanna, like you should just be nice to your body, and it's really much deeper than that. So I'll tell you a story about my life, and then hopefully that can kind of help make it real and relatable for you. So I have a few stories of buying jeans when I was younger, probably about 12 years old. So I carried extra weight on my body when I was that age. And I remember going to shop for jeans with my mom at a department store, and we couldn't find my size. And a lady who worked there came over and asked if she could help. And my mom told her, we're looking for jeans for my son. And the woman looked at me, and then she looked back at my mom and she said, "You might want to try the husky section." And she didn't say that in a mean way or a judgmental way. It was a factual statement. That's probably where we ended up finding our genes, my genes. But I don't remember anything else. That just like seared into my memory because it was just like other, different, bad. And that's what I remember. That was that narrative that I had going on at the time. The second one was my mom took me to a place called the Lee Jeans Factory Outlet. So I was displeased on multiple levels being there. One of the things I was displeased about was that the changing rooms were just along the inside of the warehouse, and they were simply a curtain that separated you from changing and not have any clothes on and the warehouse where everybody was just walking right by. So we found some jeans, and I told my mother, do not move from in front of this curtain. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Don't shop anymore. Stand right here. Okay. Do you promise? I promise. Okay. So I undress my 12-year-old body. I get into my fruit. I'm just standing there in my Fruit of the Loom whiteys. And what happens? That curtain rips open. And who's standing eye to eye with me but a young girl my age? And I was mortified. I just was, again, the story just kind of like ended for me there. It was just like a huge record scratch for me. And I can look back on that and I can relay that story now and appreciate the humor in it, because I can look back at that 12-year-old child and I can very easily offer him some compassion and connection and acceptance for his body like it was then. And I think that that's the goal that's the kind of relationship that we want to develop with our bodies. And when it's difficult to do in the present moment, we can think back to these times in our life, whether it's around our sexuality and as we discovered our sexuality, or as we were comparing our body with other people and feeling shame around that. And we can, with what we know now about ourselves and our lives, we can offer compassion to ourselves and connection and acceptance and gratitude. And that's healing for us, because that is us. That's our journey. And that's how we see our bodies. And as we continue to foster this relationship with our bodies, one of compassion and connection and acceptance and gratitude, then that creates healing in ourselves and then in our community at large. So if you'd like to stay up to date with everything that's going on with Inner Sun Psychotherapy, you can do that by checking us out on Facebook and liking our Facebook page. And you can also find out more by checking us out at innersunpsychotherapy.com. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you have a great day. Take good care.